Hey guys, how's it going? Coderman here. In today's video, I'm going to be taking the Lightning on its first trip. I'm actually heading down to Pennsylvania, which is about 270 miles each way, so just over 500 miles. And I'm going to take you guys along for the ride for charging, and then actually the purpose of the trip is to go down and pick up a motorcycle. So let's go ahead and start it up, even though you can't hear anything. I will do a proper kind of like review of this when I get back, but for now, let's hop in and let's go ahead to Pennsylvania. All right, well, you see here that I have 185 miles of range. And if I go over here to the GPS, 272 miles to drive. So we will be charging at least once on this trip, which I had pretty much expected. Well, quick road update. I just grabbed some food and this sucker's been charging for a little over an hour or so. It's only a 50 kilowatt, so of course takes more time. But if you can see, it's about 82%, so that's more than enough to get me to the hotel and to wrap up this leg of the trip. Well, after about an hour, this is 80% charged. I started charging around 46% just because there really wasn't any fast chargers in between here and the hotel that I'm staying at. So right off, this whole process was super easy. However, there was one part that was not easy, and that was I tried to use the wrong plug, and I jammed myself up and basically had to wait for another another fast charger. So, live and learn. It's never actually used this before, so you got to learn. But overall, this thing has done really well for day one. It's been super awesome on the highway. Obviously it's very quiet because it doesn't have an engine. It's been a smooth ride. I kept it between like 65 and 70-ish, sometimes 75. And all the, overall it's been really good range-wise. I'm using like 2.3 kilowatt hours per mile. But that's a really rough estimate because I got further than that. So real quick, you can see at night the red paint is quite shiny. But for me, I think right now the biggest feature that I'm enjoying about this truck specifically, I'm sure other EVs as well, is that the range is pretty damn accurate. And this told me I had about 46 miles, like I said, before I charged, and it's been charging now for about an hour, and it's saying about 82% now, or actually since I started this video, it's 84%. So I think overall it's, the computer is really accurate. I used a mobile app called PlugShare, and then I used another mobile app from Ford Pass, to kind of just track how much mileage. And here I'll overlay some screenshots of those apps for those that don't have an EV or are possibly waiting for a Lightning. If you are waiting for your Lightning, I'm kind of curious, where are you in the process? Have you heard from Ford? Definitely drop a comment below and let me know, because I'm curious, how fast are they building these things? So before I wrap up this leg of the trip and head back to the hotel, I do have to say that since I've been sitting in this parking lot, no less than 3 people have come up to me and asked me about this vehicle. One in particular had a Raptor and actually wants to trade it in for a Lightning. I don't know if I'd make that trade unless you really need an EV, but that's just personally me. I love the Raptor. So like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm gonna do a proper review of this truck, but I just kind of wanted to show, the view from above, if you will, while you're driving down the highway. And this is the basically over here on the left side you have your range, and then you have your speed, and then in the middle you can change it, but I have it set to trip right now just to show me kind of like what's going on with this trip as far as kilowatts and distance. But yeah, I'm really liking this truck. I didn't know if I would or not, but we're gonna continue on, and the next update should be tomorrow morning, picking up the motorcycle.
2 hours later.
All right, here we are on day 2. I have about 44 miles of range, but only 7 miles to the next charging station. And it'll actually will be a supercharger, I guess we'll call it. It'll be, I think, 150 kilowatt hours. So I'll definitely report back.
Use the right lane to exit right.
Hold on. I'll definitely report back how well that works. And then we're gonna go pick up the trailer and start the journey back home. So overall, I'm still really impressed with the truck. Like I said, I'll definitely have a longer form review, but here we are to day 2, so let's go get this thing charged. All right, here we are at an Electrify America charging station, and this is 150 kilowatt hours. The F-150 actually can do 150 kilowatt hours, but I'm guessing that this either throttles it or it warms up, because I know the one last night, it actually started to warm up as it continued to charge. So I was at around 35 miles of range left, and I'm gonna charge it up to 90 miles and then go grab the trailer. What's cool about Electrify America right now is you actually get 250 kilowatt hours of free charging thanks to Ford in a partnership with Electrify America. And here I am at a Sheetz in Pennsylvania, and there's 4 charging stations. So these things are definitely becoming more prominent. Honestly, you could have a trailer here. Not a large trailer, but you could have a trailer. I'm hoping to find places like this on the way home once I actually have the U-Haul trailer. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this charge up, and then we're gonna hit the road and go grab the trailer. Here I am still charging, although only 28 minutes. And what's interesting is everyone talks about how much it costs, or you know, how hard it is to get a spot or whatever, but I just brought this vehicle from 41 miles of range to 165 miles of range in 29 minutes. So obviously way more than getting gas. However, I can go and do stuff while this is working. In fact, I did. I got breakfast. So I'm basically just gonna let this go to probably 90% and then hit the road again. But here's so far would be my estimated cost, although I do have that promotion from Ford, so I shouldn't pay anything for this charge.
Many unbearable hours later.
All right, well, with the magic of editing, this baby's all in here. We had to get a little hokey on the left side because it didn't have an eyelet. So check your trailers before you pick them up. That was stupid on my part. But we got it done. It's all strapped in, and give it the, that ain't going nowhere. So there she is. All right, it's 5 hours home. Hit the road. Got 150 miles of range so far. Obviously have a little bit more than that to go, so we'll have to stop at least once. You can see the trailer's right there. It's still connected. And let me go ahead and show you something pretty cool about this truck. So it has a mode called bed camera, which you of course can see what the contents of your truck bed, but it also has a bonus that you can see your trailer. Although granted, you should be able to just look in the rear view mirror, but just new and interesting things that I'm finding. You can see that even since I've been talking this 40-second clip, I've gone down in range, so I'm definitely gonna see a drop in range. I'll also be speeding up pretty soon just because, you know, now we're on a highway. But yep, so we're gonna head out to the first charging station. Gonna try to make it a supercharged type station, 150 kilowatts, so that I can get home. Because believe it or not, I'm trying to rush home for a concert. So perfect day to drive a couple, 300-400 miles.
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
All right, well, I'm here to get charged at this Walmart Supercenter, and this is something that you really don't think of when you have a trailer, is how exactly do you charge when they're basically small parking spots? So my plan is once this blue car leaves, it's about 84% charged. I will literally just pull in head first next to this charger. But this is just one of those things that you kind of have to think about, you know, if you are going to trailer and go any distance. You know, if you need to charge, obviously you have to look at your options and maybe scout out what the location is to see if you can actually have a trailer on site. So I know that companies are trying to pull through charging stations, and honestly, that needs to happen sooner than later. You know, like much of the things that I've talked about in these videos, none of this is complaining. It's more or less just observations from a real world perspective of, you know, owning a electric truck. Not limited to the Lightning, although I guess I don't really know if there's any other full-size trucks available in electric, but I could be wrong. I know the Silverado EV is kind of on its way next year, but you know, I figured I'm bringing you along for the real-world experience of owning a Ford Lightning, and hopefully this continues to be entertaining as well as informative. But like I mentioned before, if you have any questions about the Ford Lightning, or, you know, if you have any questions about EVs in general, I'll try to help as best I can. I'm definitely new to it, but I'm learning a whole bunch. Final top off before I get home. The last station had a whole bunch of shenanigans and I didn't film anything, but it's more of the same. So right now, just waiting for this thing to initialize and then we'll be heading home. Well, this isn't exclusive to EVs, but it is boring. So the trip home has been very eventful and not in a good way. It's taken way longer and getting a little frustrated, but trying to keep perspective. But yeah, it is raining like crazy and adding more time to my travel. So range is good though, so I will not have to stop again. So that's good news at least. Next update should be when I'm back home. So here's an interesting one. My throttle is limited to 59 out of 100, which not exactly sure what that scale is, but what's interesting though is if I go over here to battery temperature, it's just slightly past the middle line, and I noticed that this drop coincides with that. So that's interesting because I'm not really pushing it too hard. I mean, I am doing 80 with a trailer. I guess maybe I am actually. But what this really means is if you think you're going to tow anything, spend the extra grand and get the max towing package, because that gives you double the cooling for your batteries. And honestly, I wish I had done that, but I didn't, and I highly recommend that you actually get it if you are going to be towing.